we'll let you know. But I think we're going to go back to Eric for an update on the news. Eric?
All right, yeah, let's talk about the sentencing of former Charlotte Mayor Patrick Cannon as we're joined by our legal analyst, Corey Rosensteel, on this Tuesday. The information, the news coming in here, the sentence 44 months, so 3 years, 8 months is the sentence here. That's under the guidelines of this plea deal, is that correct?
That's right. That's right. The U.S. attorney was not responsible, was not required to go in and ask for a sentence lower than that guidelines range according to their plea agreement. In the plea agreement, the U.S. attorney agreed to request that guidelines range, not to request a higher number, but they weren't under any obligation to do this. And so the guess is at this point that he must have cooperated fully, and they must have really gotten some information they plan to use.
So when you say that, got some information they plan to use, you're talking about folks down the line, other people they're going to go after. Is that what we're saying?
That's the guess. I mean, we don't know anything at this point, or certainly I don't have that information at this point, but certainly you would guess that there's going to be some other indictments at some point down the road.
Okay, we're looking to hear from U.S. Attorney Ann Tompkins. That's that press conference now that you know, everyone's out of court here. We're going to hear that press conference. We'll have it for you live here on Fox 46. But again, you know, 3 years, 8 months doesn't mean that Patrick Cannon will serve all of that. What is the typical serve time, percentage of the term that's served? In
federal sentences, what you're looking at is you can gain some good time credit, and you can knock it down to 85%. When they've done studies, they've seen that the math really comes out to the standard inmate, usually if they get full credit for good time, will do about 87% of their sentence. So you might knock off say a month and a half, a year if you're doing really well.
Okay, so he is 47 years old, about to turn 48 at the end of November. So you're looking at 51 when he comes out ish. You know, talk about what you know about you know, federal prison. It's going to be minimum security, I imagine. This is I believe I've heard 3 different prisons that are possibilities. One in North Carolina, one in South Carolina, one in West Virginia. What do you know about life there? It's not Shawshank Redemption.
Well, and I think that some of the media portrayals of some of the movies about some of these country club prisons are probably a little bit exaggerated. What you might be looking at in a situation like this would be a stricter type dorm type situation where you've got a room, you've got a bed, you might have access to a library, internet there. You may be able to send emails to family members, those types of things. Certainly, there's going to be exercise and that type of thing, but you're not on lockdown in the same way that you would be in a maximum security prison. You're talking about walls. You're not able to just walk off of campus, but you're maybe not talking about the razor wire that you see in the movies. You know, like you said, not a Shawshank type situation.
Sure.
And this is because this is a person who they don't believe is a flight risk. They don't think that he's somebody that's going to get out, and if he did, he's not a violent offender.
Okay, have a live look. I believe we have a shot of the podium here outside the federal courthouse, and we're getting ready for the press conference to start, kind of getting the microphones ready, all that stuff. So again, can we listen in here? That's Ann Tompkins. It's Ann Tompkins, U.S. Attorney.
44 months in federal prison, and I think that justice was served today. I'd like to thank the FBI for their incredible work on this case, and thank Assistant U.S. Attorneys Mike Savage and Craig Randall for their incredible work as well in this case. The investigation is ongoing, therefore I won't be discussing any aspects of the case at all. But in terms of today's sentencing, I'll take questions.
How would you characterize the harm done to the citizens of Charlotte?
You know, we talked in the sentencing about collateral damage that gets done. There's direct damage to the city and the city's reputation, the reputation of honest elected officials and honest city bureaucrats and workers. So there's those direct harms that happen, and that every citizen of the city suffers the reputational harm that we have from being a city now that has public corruption. We are a resilient city, we're a strong city, and we will, you know, we will rise above.
Do you think the sentence is strong enough to send a message for any future politician?
Yes, I definitely think the sentence is a very strong sentence that will send a message of deterrence. And the judge and the government also argued that the sentence should be strong enough to deter both people who seek to influence the political process and politicians who may fall susceptible to bribery schemes.
Do you believe he was lieutenant? He talked about being very sorry, and yet you said he got very good at taking bribes. Do you not buy his contrition?
I absolutely believe that he is sorry, like many people who are caught in their crimes. He is, in fact, genuinely remorseful. However, as the court noted, that doesn't mitigate the responsibility that we have to make sure that he pays for those crimes.
Do you regret getting involved with a plea deal? Do you regret doing that?
Can you discuss the decision not to go after the $1.25 million kickback that Mr. Cannon solicited as reported in the affidavit?
You know, we don't discuss the internal decision-making in terms of how we come up with the deals, but I think that AUSA Randall explained to the court that reasonable minds could differ about that particular set of facts. And as part of our plea agreement, we agreed not to pursue
Given
it.
that the quality of Mr. Cannon's information wasn't extremely valuable, did you give him too much?
Well, it is in the discretion of the court to determine in the end what's the appropriate sentence. We asked for a 2-level reduction for that cooperation, coupled with the quick resignation, which I think did save the city a lot of pain and suffering and divisiveness. In the court's discretion, they gave him 1 level off, which was a difference of 7 months. And we are satisfied that the court weighed all of the arguments of all the parties and came to an appropriate sentence.
More arrests coming?
What would he have had to do to earn substantial assistance? What didn't he do? Maybe he went even better.
I think that just in general, not necessarily in this particular case, but each defendant's situation is slightly different about what information that they have that's useful to us, and we make a determination on a case-by-case basis.
Did you say more arrests are coming?
I said no comment.
But you did say the investigation is still
The investigation is ongoing.
With the litany of public officials that the judge reeled off in North Carolina, is North Carolina becoming a more corrupt place, a less corrupt place?
My opinion is that North Carolina is less corrupt than many places in the country, and I think we have a lot to be proud of, not just in the state, but in this city. And this doesn't make Charlotte a corrupt city. This is an instance of corruption that we have found and that we are now, Patrick Cannon is paying the price for, but that doesn't stain this city forever. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, U.S. Attorney of the Western District of North Carolina, that is Ann Tompkins, and you just heard that press conference live here on Fox 46. Again, 44 months for former Charlotte Mayor Patrick Cannon on this Tuesday. That sentence just coming in here, joined by Corey Rosensteel, our legal analyst here at Fox 46. Interesting to hear, Tompkins talk about no comment about his further arrest, and that's kind of what we were getting at, where this sentence was under the guidelines, so therefore maybe he gave up some information that's quite useful for the feds.
That's certainly what you have to believe at this point, especially since she's not willing to comment on the ongoing investigation. It would certainly make you believe that they intend to pursue some other parties, whether they're people who were directly linked to Cannon or whether he gave some one-off information. We're not sure yet, but I think it's safe to say they intend to make more arrests at this point. Anything
else that came as you listened to that? Anything that piqued your interest?
Well, I think it was interesting that they talked about whether that makes North Carolina a less corrupt state at this point, isn't that? I mean, it's really interesting where she would say, well, this was a specific instance of corruption. You wonder what follows that. Is there more corruption out there that she's chasing after right now that they're actively pursuing? Is it people from out of state? We don't know exactly what's going to happen at this point.
And we're still waiting official word as far as when Patrick Cannon will report. By all indications, he's not taken into custody today, but we're still waiting the word on the date on that. I know he wanted December 30th, I believe, and that was denied. And
that's a little bit outside the range of what you would typically expect a judge to grant. 30 to 60 days would be typical of what you'd ask for as far as a reporting time, and that just basically gives you the opportunity to report to the Federal Bureau of Prisons yourself. He may be taken into custody today. We don't know, but it sounds like the judge has said that December 30th is too far. He's not willing to give you that much time.
Too far, and we mentioned he's been out for 6 months, so he's had time to get his house in order. But yet he's asking for more time, and I understand that he wants to be with his family, and he knows he's going away for 3 years, 8 months, and maybe he doesn't serve all that time, but still 3 years.
That's right.
3 years of his life.
And it's not uncommon to ask to push things past the holiday season. I mean, that's a request that judges this time of year will typically hear is, give me the time with my family. I'd like to push this past Christmas. And that's not an unusual request.
All right, so anytime for more on this story, certainly myfoxcarolinas.com. But we also have another huge story. It is the weather today, and we have a tornado warning in effect. And Nick.